as part of the second Agro Summit on Sustainable Solutions Transforming Agro-Food Systems for a Greener Future by the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. My name is Pallavi Upadhyay, and I will be the moderator for today's session. We'll just take a few minutes to welcome all the eminent panelists in today's session. We have Mr. Sachin Sharma, President Agribusiness, ITC Limited, Ms. Ishi Khosla, clinical nutritionist and columnist, author, entrepreneur, and researcher. So, millets is an extremely important topic. All of last year, we've all observed and celebrated the International Year of Millets as declared by the United Nations. And we have seen several initiatives and programs coming up. As part of the momentum that has been built over the last year, a lot of us in the millet ecosystem are committed to taking this movement forward, making it stronger, more sustainable, and discussing what are the challenges that are being faced, and looking at the way forward. So, as part of the entire initiative, today's discussion we bring to you from that perspective. Now, I would like to welcome Ms. Ishi Khosla. She is a practicing clinical nutritionist, a columnist, author, entrepreneur, public health expert, and a welfare worker. Ishi has been, working and on millets and working with people on popularizing millets through multiple platforms. She's passionate about nutrition, and as part of her commitment to public health, she has founded the Celiac Society of India. It's a public health forum to spread awareness about gluten-related disorders in India, and Celiac Society does some really wonderful work. So, welcome, Ishi. If you could just give us a quick background on the kind of work you've done so far, and what has been your journey with millets. Since whenever you started working, I know you recommend it to many of your clients and advocate about it from many places. So welcome, and please share something with us.
Thank you very much, Pallavi, for that kind introduction, and thank you, IACC, for having me today. And yes, to answer your question, Pallavi, my journey goes back way back, like in 2001, when we started one of the first health food companies called Whole Foods, and we started stocking millets and all these millet flours and millet products. And of course, it was early days, and awareness and education in the market was very nascent. So usually they used to catch weevils and we had to throw them because mostly they were also organic. So, it was right long ago when we realized that this market is not ready yet. But yes, like you just said, I do represent this narrative in many ways in 3 or 4 platforms. One, of course, was the health food company, Whole Foods, which is no longer with us now. And then the Celiac Society, which was in 2006, which was again to create awareness about the importance of the right grain, and that a wrong grain can be the reason or a trigger for ill health for many people, which is not realized. And today, gluten sensitivity is now a very mainstream topic. People are talking about it, but back then it was really unheard of. Celiac disease and gluten were really unknown words. Today, we've come a long way with our, efforts and the overall, communication on the digital platforms. I also wrote a book long ago, Is Wheat Killing You? It was about celiac disease, and so those are some of the early days initiatives. And on a personal as a consultant, as a practitioner of nutrition, I have some amazing transformational journeys with alternative grains and millets. And so I will come to them individually. But from the Celiac Society perspective, if I was to start, We started a newsletter also. It's called Wheat Views. It was Wheat Views, and now it's Grain Matters. And that was something which we started then, and now we've kind of, it's grown bigger and in circulation. Essentially, to talk about the same issues which have been discussed about millets and their importance and the right grain. And we've had some international conferences, one in 2019, which had about 14 experts from all over the world talking about gut health, microbiome, and grains. And in 2000 and just now, this 2024, we had a conference in basically microbiome and millets, and that was the narrative. I think you were there at that conference. Yeah. So, and that was also the first time when we tried to correlate millets with scientifically with our gut and the problems which arise out of the trigger grains, including wheat. And the whole conversation was around the microbiome, which really explains everything, why millets are really beneficial and what are the advantages of using millets. And then, of course, we also, three NGOs, a coalition of three NGOs got together and launched an initiative called Mera Millet Magic, the 3M. Mera Millet Magic was basically to ensure that every household has one millet meal a day. And there was a pledge which we've still not, it's not happened, but it was Ek Thali Millet Wali. And this is being done with the government initiative. And we just had a huge event where you were there also at the Bharat Mandapam with the government, with the basically the same vision that millets and their millet advantages and the millet stories must be out there, and people who are involved in from the industry side should get together to understand the importance of what they are doing. And we are also doing first of its kind study with All India Institute of Medical Sciences on children, on where we're going to assess the micronutrient status of these children, and then supplement according to their needs, and then divide them into two groups. One will get supplements and one will get only with millets and supplements. And we will then track them and then see how their profiles look after 3 months. So that's also on its way now. And by the end of the year, we should be able to get our results. So yes, on various platforms, whether it is my consultations or whether it's the food industry or whether it's the awareness and education part, we're doing, different platforms. And I have to say that it's come a long way, but we have challenges. And the challenges, of course, will be there for various reasons, but a lot of them are getting ironed out. And I think the initiative of the Prime Minister, Honorable Mr. Modi, has really made a huge difference and has helped to amplify this whole, this message to people. And it's not gone only within India, it's gone far and wide. From animal fodder, it has become Shri Ann and acquired, different complete profile to gourmet foods and exotic foods, and everything is happening around that. So that has really helped to overcome some of the barriers which are around millet use, the taste and the usage, and how to put it in your kitchens. But yes, a lot more needs to be done. If you allow me, I would like to share with you, if we have time in right now, or would you come back for some questions? Because I have two important points to highlight from the.
We'll come back. We'll come back for
Yeah.
some questions where we also want your input on value addition and other things. So maybe then you can sort of highlight your points.
Sure.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Ishi. And definitely, I mean, the study that you're talking about, which you're going to come up with, Ames, I think we really look forward to the results of something scientifically done like that. So wonderful, and thanks for all the work that you do. Ishi, we were discussing millets and your experience with millets so far. something that I would like to follow up with is, I know you do a lot of work on, with the Celiac Society of India, and what are some of the specific issues with wheat and other things. So, since the session is on millets and value addition, if you could also share some of your perspective on what could be kept in mind by manufacturers who are making value added products in the millet ecosystem, and how do we address the gluten or allergen issues with millet products. So since we are already dealing with a product that's difficult to make palatable to all, so we in terms of acceptability and everything, also in terms of shelf life, but we do have this added issue of gluten and allergen issue with millet products. So what is your suggestion on how do startups address it?
Thank you, Pallavi, for bringing this up. And we have Mr. Raj Bagri, who's been one of the forerunners in manufacturing foods for health from a long, long time. And these issues actually are very important because if we look at the allergen perspective, say jowar, bajra, all of these are all gluten-free grains. However, in terms of manufacturing practices, if we don't address issues like flour mills and cross contamination at the flour mill level, it can cause problems. So even for means, I mean, when we were in Whole Foods, a lot of people were very excited about bringing their own farm produce. ये हमारी अपने खेत का आटा है, आप इसको जरूर इस्तेमाल करिए. But since we were producing gluten-free food, we had our own laboratory, and none of these samples ever passed the samples because they were always positive for gluten. So, and I know where it is coming from because the grain is different, but when you use it as a flour and it is being ground in a mill which is also doing wheat, it will always have traces. And no matter how much you say it is cleaned, it doesn't work. And that has been the experience right across. So I think people who are manufacturing foods with millets and you or even flours, for instance, even forget the value addition, just look at the flours. If they are not, I mean, the regulation should be initiated towards this direction to ensure that nobody uses this label gluten free on a millet flour just because it does not have any added wheat. If it is ground in a contaminated flour mill, it is not, it should not be labeled gluten free. So that is one thing. And really, if you want to do it, the solution is very simple. You just need an extra dedicated flour mill for these products. It's not a very, innovative solution that you need to do. So that is one very important point, and I have to, because I see my patients very closely, so I get to know exactly why something has changed in a person's presentation and the symptoms. I'll give you a simple example of one of my patients who was completely pain-free. She had arthritis, and for the last many years, she was doing very well. And for the last 1 year, she said the pains recurred last year, and I kind of traced. I have to do a detective's job. So I said, when did you change your flour? What flours are you taking? She said, I've been taking it for 1 year, but they are absolutely, organic and very good store. And she was vouching for the quality of the flour. But I got my answers that 1 साल से आटा बदला है, मतलब ब्रेड बदली है और है उसी मतलब इन दैट सेम स्पेस. सो 1 साल से सिम्टम्स हैं उसके, 8 महीने 10 महीने से सिम्टम्स हैं. सो I said, let me call up this manufacturer you are talking about, and I personally called him, and he admitted that we don't use dedicated flour mills, and some of the breads we call millet breads, ज्वार की bread, but we add 30% आटा, उसके बिना तो बनती नहीं. So, whether it is traces or whether it is full-on addition, whenever you label something like a millet bread or a millet cookie or a millet cake or a millet whatever, namkeen, if you are adding even traces of wheat for whatever purposes, it cannot be just that. It should be labeled or brought out in the, in the product pack that this is not gluten free or this is not, is can be cross contaminated, made in a facility with without dedicated, whatever. There are very simple ways of putting it down. So I think that regulation and awareness among manufacturers is extremely critical. And secondly, the issue of cross reactivity. Cross reactivity is a term which is used for certain grains which are gluten free, but they are trigger foods, or you can even call them allergens, but they're not truly allergens, but they are trigger foods. They behave the same way for the immune system like wheat. So they have what it's a term called molecular mimicry. They mimic gluten for the immune system. And whenever we are manufacturing products for this allergen-free category, these grains must be kept in mind. And I'm going to share the few grains, and Mr. Bagri is also here. With corn, soya, and oats. These three grains are completely gluten-free, but they do not sit well with people with gluten problems or celiac disease. And these are not part of international, they haven't even reached the in the guidelines yet, but the science around them is very clear. And people who react to wheat must also avoid these grains. And we know that, patients react badly to these through our clinical experiences. So, sugars can go haywire, or some things which are not 100%, you're not responding 100% is because of, inclusion of these in the breads or the flours or the products that you are having. So these two, cross reactivity and cross contamination, are two very important features which are actually part of our in this world, very common but not addressed. And therefore, I'm using this forum to talk about it very vehemently, because even in my practice, even in some of the flours that are used when I had Whole Foods, whenever they were used in these categories, we had people suffering from symptoms or relapsing. So this is a very important area which must be addressed.
Thank you, Ishi. I think those insights are extremely critical, especially for us in the millet industry, because it's a lot of value-added product work is fairly nascent. Of course, we are all adding a lot of things, but we should be very careful when we are declaring the product as gluten-free, that it should actually be gluten-free. So, for instance, at our facility, we ensure that we have a gluten-free mill, because right when we started, we don't have any other mill. We don't grind wheat in our facility at all, so as to completely avoid the contamination issue, because we have a lot of people with severe allergies who are buying the product. So it's extremely critical that we keep this in mind, and even when we are making value added products, and this is something that needs to be reiterated in terms of labeling, production, and all of that. And the issue of the cross reactivity certainly was extremely illuminating. So thank you for sharing that with us. Now quickly, because we are running short of time, I see we'll go to Mr. Raj Bagri.
I will just add one more point here,
Sure.
because we're talking about health and acceptability of millets. A lot of people say, "Hame suit nahi karte, hame," they don't sit well. And one of the reasons for that is the high fiber content of millets. So if you want to make millets more acceptable, this is again for the food manufacturers, please sieve the flour. जो उसका बाहर का मोटा जो हस्क होता है, हल होता है, उसको अच्छे से 2-3 बार अगर आप निकालेंगे, the same flour becomes very acceptable and soft and palatable. So try to work.
Proper dehusking is important. Absolutely. No, that's definitely a very valid point. Proper dehusking of the millets is very important before processing them into flour.